Hey guys, what's up? This is Kat and welcome back to the bookish side of me. Finally guys, I'm doing another sit down video, and as you have noticed, in August I've been filming a lot of reading vlogs for Weekathon, so that's why I missed sitting down here talking to you about books and just rolling with it. So finally we are doing this, and for this video guys, I want to share with you the books that I'm planning to read for the rest of 2020. One of the reasons why I'm doing this is because I thought I'm not going to film monthly TBRs, and I am not also going to limit myself or box myself in a certain theme for each month. And all I want to do for the rest of 2020 is just to read according to my mood, read the books that I've been wanting to read for the longest time, and that's what we're gonna do here. Alright guys, now let's start with this video because I have here like 15 or 16 books and I can't really remember, but I'm going to share them with you like according to my priority. Like the first ones that I'm going to mention are like my top priority list, and then the last ones would be like least of my priorities, and I have reasons that's why. So let's start first with the book that I'm currently reading, and I'm very happy that I am finally reading it. I've been eyeing this book since last year, and I just really love the writing style of this author. And the book that I'm talking about is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. If you've watched a previous video of mine, you will know that I really loved Little Fires Everywhere because of how good it was written, and all the topics and the message of that book is just so good. And finally, I'm reading this book, which is the debut novel of the author. And according to some reviews, they said that this is better than Little Fires Everywhere, and I'm very excited to see that for myself. By the way, guys, I'm halfway through this book. Like, I'm on page 129, and this book is like 290 plus pages. So my plan is to finish this until tomorrow. Anyway guys, the next book on my reading pile is one that also I've been dying to read for the longest time, and the reason is because this has been hyped up in historical fiction genre, and that book is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I'm sorry if I butchered his last name, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So as I've said, this one is a historical fiction that is set in World War II. This setting has been like hyped up for the past years in historical fiction. I still love it so much. Like, I'm still a sucker for it, and I will never get tired of reading a book that is World War II related. Although I would like to diversify my reading taste when it comes to historical fiction as well. Like, I would like to explore more historical fiction genre that is set in a different time or set in a different country, but still I'm looking forward to read this. Alright, the next book on my reading pile is also one book that I'm very excited to read because it's been hyped up in its own genre, which is mystery thriller. And I've heard mixed reviews about this book, but I also want to try it for myself because I know that a lot of people really like this, but also a number of people really don't. So that book is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. This one is one of my top priority list to get in 2020, and finally I have it in my hands. But yeah, I need to read it. I promised to myself this year will not end without me reading this book, and to be honest, I don't know anything about it. All I know is that this is mystery thriller. Okay, so this is like a nanny story, scary nanny, I don't know. Okay, so there's going to be a dead child, and then okay, so she's going to be tried for killing the child, I think. Alright, I don't know anything about this book, but I'm very intrigued with it. And yeah, so let's just leave it to that. Because to be honest, I rarely read synopsis. I just want to go to a book blindly So yeah, that's why sometimes I get to some books that are very triggering because I don't read synopsis. Anyway, the next book that I'm going to read and hopefully finish it this month is another book by Ruth Ware, which is The Woman in Cabinton. This has been on my currently reading shelf for some time now. I think I started in July, and until now, I haven't finished it. What the F? I am still right here on page 53, and I've been reading this for more than a month already. And I don't know why I'm not picking it up. But yeah, I will get to this book, I promise you guys. Hopefully this month. Hopefully. The next book on my pile is also one book that has been sitting on my currently reading shelf for more than a month now, because I also started this in July, but I wasn't able to read it because of weekathon and because I don't think that I'm emotionally ready for this book. And that one is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Like, I know how traumatizing, how heavy this book is, and I've been wanting to read this since time immemorial. Like, I've been planning this book for the longest time, but when it is already on my hands and when I was trying to get through the story, I feel like I'm not emotionally ready for it. But you guys, I'm planning to read this before this year ends because this has been on my top priority for some time now, and I just want to get this off my list. Next book on my pile, and this one is a sequel to a series that I really love, and I haven't continued it yet. Hopefully this year I will, because the fourth book is coming in December, I think, and I have to read second and third book. So anyway, the series or the book that I'm talking about is A Torch Against the Night by Saba Tahir. This is the sequel to An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir, of course, and I've been really wanting to read this after I've read the first book in March, but I don't have the physical copy yet, so I waited for the right time to get this copy, and now I have it in my hands, but I haven't read this one yet. Yeah, we're doing this year, I promise. Next book on this pile is one that I'm also very excited about because a lot of my friends hyped this book to me, and also there is a movie adaptation that's already on Netflix, and I just want to read this book so that I can watch the movie. So that book is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I've said this in a previous haul that I've bought this copy because Emin and Angela, who are my good friends from Bookstagram, hyped this book to me, and I know that I have to get this because I trust their reading taste because we kind of have similar ones. So yeah, we're reading it this year. They said that I'm going to cry in this book. So that's it for that book. And then we're moving on to the next one. Alright, this one I also promised to myself that this year will not end without me reading this book because I've been dying to read a book from this author because she's been one of my favorite authors of all time, and I have only read one book from her, and I want to fix that because she published other books already. So the author that I'm talking about is Elizabeth Gilbert, and this is her book, The Signature of All Things, and I just want to read this book so bad. Like, I want to continue reading books by Elizabeth Gilbert because she's just an amazing person. Like, I know that it's kind of exaggerating to hear, but this woman changed my life at some point. She changed my perspective in different things in life, and I owe this woman a lot. That's why I want to read more of her books, and also her other book is just right here, and it's one of my favorite books of all time. Actually, to be honest, this one is like my top favorite book of all time. Like, it hasn't been dethroned yet, but yeah, I'm planning to read this as well. Alright, next book on this pile is also another book from one of my favorite authors. Like, I still want to read more books from this author for me to consider her as like my favorite author. I don't know what I'm saying, but the one that I'm talking about is Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this is her book After I Do. And as you all know, I really love Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones and the Six, and I thought that I just want to read more books from this author. By the way, guys, this author is writing a new book which I'm very excited about, and oh my gosh, like I can't wait for that book to be released. But anyway, before that, I'm planning to read all her backlist titles. But for now, I still love her and I'm planning to read this very, very soon. Alright, next books on my pile are actually from the same author, because these are like sequels to the series that I've already read from this author, but I haven't continued it yet. This woman also owns my heart for how many years already, because she published one of my favorite series of all time, which is Legend, and that author is Marilu. I have heard 2 books of hers. The first one is Wildcard by Marilu. This is a sequel to her book, which is Warcross. This is a duology, I think, and I've read Warcross in May and I really enjoyed it, and I just want to continue the world with this book. That's why I want to read it. Also, guys, this morning I learned the news that Warcross is going to be adapted into a movie. I think, is it a movie? I forgot already, but this is going to be adapted and I'm very excited about this. Oh my goodness, just this morning, can you believe that? And then the next book from Marilu is Rebel, and this one is the 4th book in the Legend series, the one that I'm talking about earlier, which is one of my favorite series of all time, and this is like a sequel years after what happened in Champion. I'm very excited to read this one as well, but I'm kind of scared that this will kind of ruin the series for me, because I'm contented with what happened in the trilogy and now we have the 4th book. However, I know that I'm still going to read this, and whatever happens, I'm still gonna love Day and June with all my freaking heart. So yeah. The next book on my pile is another romance book from an author that I really admired before, but as I've said in my previous video, I kind of outgrown this author already. I'm still gonna read a book from her maybe in the future, and I'm still gonna read this one, but I don't think that I'm going to like prioritize her books over other books, because that's what I've been doing for the past years. But again, I don't know, I just kind of fell out of love with this author. I don't know how to explain that, but the one that I'm talking about is Colleen Hoover, and this is her book, It Ends With Us, and this has been hyped up to me by a lot of people already. Like, they said that this is the greatest Colleen Hoover book, and I just want to prove it for myself. Right now, my favorite Colleen Hoover books is All Your Perfects. Like, that book just hit me to the core. You don't know how much I relate to that book, even though I don't have a husband yet, like we're not married yet, and it's just that I really cried a lot. So we will see. I'm going to read it this year, so I will know if this is worth the hype. Alright, so let's move on, guys, to the last 4 books on this pile. It's been so long. I'm so tired right now. The next book on my pile, this one, I'm very excited to read this book, and that is A Man Called Uwe. Is it called Uwe? By Frederick Backman, and this is about an old man, and this, according to reviews, will warm your heart and it will probably make you cry, and I'm just looking forward for that. I was raised by my grandmother who passed away in 2016, and I feel like if this is going to be like a soft story about old people, I might cry. I'm not sure yet, but looking forward for that. I promise to read it this year, however, I'm not sure when, so yeah, we will see. The last books on this pile is actually a series. This is like the 2nd to the 4th book of this series that I want to finish this year. Well, not technically finish, because there's still upcoming books for this one, and this is on the least of my priority because the 5th book might be coming next year and there's no release date yet. and I just don't want this series to leave me hanging in the fourth book. And this is actually a Filipino written series, and that is Jana Silang series. I have here the second book, the third book, which is very hard to find, and the fourth book. So I am planning to read it this year, but also it still depends on my mood. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I have shared with you all the books that I'm planning to read, and hopefully, just hopefully, I will read them before this year ends. These books are just like a fraction of my TBR pile right now, and as much as I hate to grow my unread books on my shelf, I can't help it because I still have a lot of books that are coming until October or November, and oh my goodness, this is definitely one of a classic example of a quote: too many books, too little time. Like literally. Like I have already read more than 100 books this year, and I still feel like I have a lot of books to finish. How is that even possible? I haven't gone through my TBR cart yet. This is going to be a crazy year. Well, it is a crazy year, but it's going to be crazier for the next few months. But anyway guys, I am done for this video. I'm sorry if I'm blobbing too much, but I hope you enjoyed this one. If you've reached this part of the video, please comment down below what are the books that you're planning to read before this year ends, like your top priority TBR. So comment it down below, share it with me, and if you've read or you're planning to read any of the books that I've mentioned earlier, please tell me in the comment section below and let's talk about it. For now guys, I hope that you are safe, you are healthy emotionally, mentally, spiritually guys, and just remember that the world is yours for the reading. Bye and see you in the next one.